Welcome to Mama's Kitchen. We promised the other day that we would make soup, so tonight for dinner we are having soup, and I thought, well, why don't we just video it? So I've chopped up lots and lots of veg, and I've grated up the carrot, and you can see it's even gone to start to go brown and things like that because I haven't peeled it. You know, a lot of the nutrients and things like that are just under the skin. Well, that's what they tell me, and I believe them. I've got parsnip, pumpkin, kumara, yellow kumara and orange kumara. What is that? Leek. I've got some squishy tomatoes, even just like a couple of squishy tomatoes that were in the fridge that needed to be eaten, and celery for flavour, and an onion. Okay, so that's pretty much all I've done at the moment. Just whatever veg you've got in your house, use. And I want to show you this now. This is probably one of my more embarrassing moments. You thought it was a bunch of flowers, didn't you? But no, it's my broccoli that flowered. But I'm still going to use it. So they were such beautiful, tight little, whatever they're called. And I forgot them. I just forgot them. And within a few days, within 2 or 3 days, it turned into that. I know, right? But it still looks good. And I Googled it, and apparently they're totally edible. So I'm just going to chop it up and chuck it into our soup. So if you don't tell the others, I won't. So I've got my pot on heating, and as soon as it starts to get hot, I'm going to add probably, for this amount, you know, I've got a carrot, a parsnip, half a leek, a quarter of a pumpkin, and half of a kumara, two of each of the kumaras, an onion, and a couple of, about 4 stalks of celery. So for our family, that would be perfectly fine. I'm heating this up. I'm going to add probably about maybe 100 grams of butter, and then I'm going to start cooking it off. So I'm just going to chuck it in there and start cooking it off. I'm going to cook off the big ones first for obvious reasons, because this is going to cook faster than that. Okay, so let me start that process, and then I'll show you what that looks like soon. Have a look at this. So can you hear that? Love that smell. Okay, see, look, there's my soggy tomato that won't go to waste, and all my veg. So I cooked up these bigger ones for a few minutes before I added all the other ones. So, and now I'm just going to stir it up. So I also put in a tablespoon of garlic as well, just some crushed garlic in there, just to add a little bit of flavour. Yum, smells so good. So look at that, look at those colours. Yum! That's our dinner tonight. So I'm going to keep cooking that off for a few more minutes until it softens up the veg a bit, and then I'm going to add half a cup of plain flour. This is just a breakfast cup, half a cup, just to it'll help to thicken it up. Okay, so let me do that, and then I'll show you what that looks like soon. Isn't it funny? I've just come back from the dentist. I met this lovely lady in the shop that asked if she could have a photo with me. I think I smiled like this. So, never mind. So if I look funny, that's why. I mean, I always look funny, but that's especially funny. Right, okay, that aside, that's all cooked up. Doesn't that look great? How's it smell?
Great.
Right, so I'm going to chuck in my flour, just like that, plain flour. And I'm just going to stir it up like that. Can you see that? Oh. Are you steaming up? Right, I'm just going to take it off the heat for a moment so it doesn't keep cooking, and I want to talk to you about this. I have got liquid stock, which is great. Got that because it was on special, but when I read it, it's got like 29% sodium. That's a lot of salt. Same brand, same amount of salt. These I always thought were pretty bad, but they're not. They actually only have 10% sodium, so I think I'm going to go for this option, even though they're also the same brand. What's up with that? Salt reduced. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix this up. I'm going to mix maybe, I'll try 3 tablespoons into a litre of water, okay, and then I'll tell you if I get it wrong, so that's possible. Now I want to show you this as well. This is my very sad looking broccoli. Very sad. I chopped off all the flowers because I'm going to use all these, and these bits here were nice and tender. These bits down here started to get woody, so unfortunately that's a waste, but I'm going to give it to the worms. But I also chopped up all the leaves as well, because there's lots of nutrients in the leaves as well, so hopefully it won't all go to waste as I get the worm wee from my worm farm to put it back into the garden, and hopefully I won't forget the broccoli next year. Okay, so let me do this and then I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. I've chopped up all of my bits and pieces into small bits so that I can give them to my worms. See that? You can tell when something's stalky. Can you see that? Because it's got the white bits in the middle. If it breaks really easily, oh, that broke really easy. That theory went right out the door. Okay, that was stalky, okay? That's the same thing. I'm not telling you any more about that. So I'm going to give this to my worms, okay? So that will be recycled through our little worms, and all the worm poo will go back in my garden and make great veggies that I won't forget and won't let go to seed. Okay, right. We're going to give you a treat. We're going to do a treat for you, and we are going to do Southland cheese rolls for dinner. That's what we're going to have with our soup. So our soup's over here cooking beautifully, just on a sideboard. Come and have a look. Look, yum, yum, yum. You can see all those little flowers too. My son, my 21-year-old's going to say, what is all that yellow stuff? I'll say, oh, it's corn. It's a total lie. He'll eat anything. He's all good. Okay, so let us get the ingredients together, and then we'll show you what we need to do. And cheese rolls. I had to think about that. Southland cheese rolls are the bomb. If you ever go down to Southland, you go to any of the cafes down there and you get cheese rolls down there, they are like where it's at. Okay, so I've got 1.5 cups of grated cheese into my pot, and an onion soup mix. You know how we use that reduced salt stock back there? We're adding it to the diet in this. I'm not telling you how much salt's in here, it's a fair bit. So one of these in here, and a can of evaporated milk. Okay, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to put it onto the stove top. How cute is that? Right, put it onto the stove top, and I'm going to cook it off, and it's just going to be at a really low heat, just so that everything melts, and then I'm going to let it cool down. Okay, so I'll see you in a few minutes. This is all done. It's all chunky but way good. It just tastes absolutely delicious. I'm going to put a little bit of pepper in that later on because that's what I like. And gratefully my neighbour Serena saved me with her wandy thing. Otherwise I would have had to have mashed it. Mine died the other day and I threw it out. So I'm going to blend that up later on. I'll show you what that looks like. But in the meanwhile, come on over here. I have got some wholemeal. This is sandwich slice, so it's nice and thin. Okay, and this is what this mixture looks like after it's cooked and cooled. Okay, nice and thick. So that's the evaporated milk, the cheese, and I added like 1/4 cup. Hang on, let me get started. I used, what sort of cheese do we use?
Cheddar.
Cheddar. We use cheddar cheese because we had that in the fridge. But I also added probably about 1/4 cup of tasty cheese because I'm all about the taste. And it's as simple as, oh, sticking to my spoon, getting a spoonful of this mixture, spreading it all over. Don't miss any of the corners. Can you hear my husband in the background? Hun, turn the TV down. There you go. And rolling it up, okay? And putting it onto my very sad, look, the other day when we made focaccia bread, some ding-dong cut the bread. Well, my recyclable thingy was on the tray. Anyway, so these are our gorgeous Southland rolls. I'm more excited about these than I am about the soup. That's the truth. And I'm just using my pastry brush to put a little bit of butter on top so that it'll make them nice and golden brown. Don't forget to turn them that way, okay, so that the seam is on the bottom, otherwise they're going to go and open up. Okay, so let me finish this, let me blend up my soup, and let me show you how I eat it. See you soon. here it is. Check that out. Look at that. That is so beautiful. I put a little bit of cheese on top and a little bit of pepper because I like pepper. If you don't like pepper, that's up to you. So good. And these flippin' that's my aria. Flippin'licious. These that's what really excited me. Wow. So yeah, that's so good. So don't forget to recycle everything. Your kai that you've got left over, your scraps and things like that, your can. Try and get a soup that hasn't got quite as much salt as we had, but it was all good. And enjoy dinner, okay? Ka kite anō.